My name is Daniel. I'm 37, and I've been married to Emily for 8 years. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I thought we had something solid. We had routines, inside jokes, and that comfort you only build when you've known someone long enough to read their moods before they even say a word. At least I thought that was still true. The shift wasn't sudden, but it became impossible to ignore. Emily's phone, once left carelessly on the counter, now lived face down, locked tight with a new password. Her work schedule, which had always been predictable, started including late dinners and team celebrations. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I told myself she deserved her space, that maybe I was being paranoid. But there's a point where little doubts pile up like bricks until the weight crushes your chest. The breaking point came one Friday night when she told me she had plans with colleagues. Instead of sitting home alone wondering, I decided to surprise her. I drove to the restaurant she mentioned, telling myself it was just curiosity, not distrust. But the moment I walked in, I saw her, not with a group of coworkers, just her and one man, seated close at a table near the window. He leaned in as he spoke, his hand brushing hers casually, like he'd done it before. She laughed, really laughed, in a way I hadn't seen in months. That sound used to be mine. For a second, I couldn't move. Felt like the floor disappeared under me. My wife, the woman who once said I was the only person who could make her laugh after a bad day, was giving that joy to someone else. I didn't storm over. I didn't make a scene. Instead, I asked the waiter for a table just far enough away to see but not be noticed. My hands shook as I held the menu, though my eyes never left them. Every smile, every gesture, every moment she leaned forward felt like a betrayal sharper than knives. I thought about leaving, just walking out, pretending I never saw it. But then she picked up her phone and texted someone. A moment later, my phone buzzed in my pocket. "Dinner is running late. Don't wait up." That was when something inside me snapped. She was lying to my face in real time, while laughing at another man's jokes. I didn't shout, but I felt a cold clarity settle in. If she wanted to live in deception, then I would let her dig the hole herself. I paid my bill quietly and left before she saw me. But I wasn't done. The next morning, over breakfast, she acted normal. Asking about my day, mentioning errands, even giving me that half-smile she'd perfected when she wanted to look innocent. I answered calmly, storing the memory of the night before deep inside me like a card I wasn't ready to play yet. For weeks, I watched carefully. Every time she said late meeting, I noted it. Every time she claimed she was tired, I marked it down. My patience wasn't weakness, it was strategy. And then came the night we were invited to a dinner party with friends. I saw an opportunity one couldn't ignore. She insisted we go, even seemed excited. When we arrived, I was surprised to find the same man there, the one from the restaurant. He greeted Emily like they shared some inside connection. She flushed slightly, trying to cover it with a laugh. My suspicion wasn't paranoia anymore. It was fact staring me in the face. Throughout the night, I watched them. The same stolen glances, the shared jokes, the way she laughed with him just a little too warmly. And yet, she kept looking back at me, checking if I noticed. What she didn't realize was that I had already set everything in motion long before this night. I stayed calm through the first course, sipping my drink while Emily leaned just a little too close to him. They thought they were subtle, but people who hide things always underestimate how much others see. Every touch, every laugh, every shared whisper burned into me, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I focused on the one thing I had prepared. A week before, after piecing everything together, I wrote something. Not a confrontation, not a long speech, just a short, undeniable truth. And I carried it with me, folded neatly inside my jacket pocket, waiting for the right moment. Dessert came and the table filled with light chatter. Emily excused herself to the restroom, and that was when I moved. I slipped the folded note onto her plate, right by the fork. No one else noticed. By the time she returned, still smiling, the paper was waiting for her like a silent bomb. She sat, still caught up in the glow of attention from her friend. But when her eyes dropped to the plate, the smile froze. She picked up the note, unfolded it, and read. The color drained from her face instantly. The words were simple. I was at the restaurant that night. I saw you. We're done. No shouting. No scene. Just a truth written plainly where she couldn't run from it. Her fork clattered against the plate as her hands shook. The man beside her looked confused, asking if she was okay, but she didn't answer. She kept staring at the note like it was a weapon pointed at her chest. Around the table, conversations slowed as people noticed something was wrong. I didn't say a word. I let the silence stretch, let her own guilt betray her more than I ever could. She tried to speak, to explain, but the words caught in her throat. The man reached for her shoulder, but she pulled away quickly, like his touch burned now that the lie was exposed. I stood, straightened my jacket, and looked at her one last time. You always laughed when you thought I wasn't paying attention, I said quietly, just for her. But I saw everything. The room was silent. No one else knew the full story, but they didn't need to. The look on her face told them enough. Without waiting for a reply, I walked out. That night, I packed a bag and left. There was no need for a fight, no need for screaming. She had already destroyed what we had, and I wasn't going to waste another word convincing her of it. The next morning, she blew up my phone with messages. Apologies, excuses, begging me to talk. But the image of her laughing with him, so alive in ways she hadn't been with me in months, played on repeat in my head. I didn't need to hear her words anymore. I had heard enough lies. Over the following weeks, friends reached out, confused, wanting to understand. I didn't drag her name through the mud. I just said we weren't together anymore and left it at that. People can draw their own conclusions. The note had already said everything that mattered. The strange thing was, after the initial shock and grief, I felt lighter. For months, I had lived with suspicion, with doubt gnawing at me in silence. Seeing it confirmed was painful, yes, but it was also freedom. No more guessing, no more waiting for honesty that never came. Sometimes, people imagine closure comes from long conversations or explosive confrontations. But for me, closure was just a few words written on paper and the look on her face when she read them. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't triumph. It was clarity. And now, when I think back to that night, the laughter, the note, the silence that followed, I don't hear her voice anymore. I hear my own, steady and certain, choosing myself over her betrayal. Because in the end, the most powerful thing I ever said to her wasn't shouted. It was written.